Hello everyone and welcome back to the CDL podcast channel. As you can see by the screen in this one today, we are going to be doing our predictions for week 2 of stage 3. And it should be a pretty interesting one. As you can see, there are a lot of big matches this week. But before we get into the predictions, please be sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe. And share the video with a friend if you enjoy it. As well as drop your comments down below to explain what your predictions are for this upcoming week. We got some really kind of toss-up matches with some rosters that we still haven't really figured out where they are at. But as you can see, if I scroll up here on the London home series, yeah, I forgot to save my predictions again. I mentioned it in the reactions podcast. I forgot to save my predictions, and I did really well. I definitely wouldn't be in first place or anything because I got like 2 or 3 matches wrong, but overall I got a lot of map counts right and stuff, but I forgot to save it like usual. I usually record the video, then go to like edit it and stuff, and then I just happened to forget to hit save predictions. So I'm going to try to remember to hit save predictions on this one. But we basically covered all the news I just recorded. This is like my one little free time I have during the week with being busy with classes and job hunting and stuff like I talked about a little bit in the last video. So this is like my one little free moment I have. So I just recorded the reactions podcast of the past weekend, and now I'm going to do the predictions and upload it on Wednesday. So yeah, here are the matches. This week got a lot of interesting games. I mean, the ones I'm eyeing up that we'll get to later. I'm really eyeing up that Toronto versus Rocker match, as well as that Optic versus LA Thieves match. Even in the first day, the Atlanta versus LA Thieves. But without further ado, we'll just hop into the predictions quickly and get those all done. And that's pretty much going to be it for this video. Just going over the predictions, talking a little bit about the matches. And I'm excited to get into it. So without further ado, let's just hop right into it. The first match of the weekend happens on Thursday, obviously. It's Subliners versus Ravens. This one probably isn't the best match overall, simply because, I mean, as we've seen this year, London has pretty much struggled the entire year. They haven't found any consistent team to bring them success, and Subliners have been pretty consistently a top 5 team at least this year, and they showed a lot of potential with Hydra in their first match, beating Atlanta Faze. And for that reason, I believe they are likely going to win this one, and I think I'm going to go in a 3-0 fashion. I typically like to, in these matches where I'm pretty confident that one team's going to win, I like to throw in one map for the team that I know is going to lose. I mean, I guess I don't technically know that London's going to lose, but I'm assuming New York being top, I would put them around like the 4th team right now, and I'd put London in dead last. I think London probably still has the lowest ceiling, maybe even lower than LAG, although I'm not sure about that. I do believe that New York is going to end up taking this one, and I do believe they're going to do it in a 3-0 fashion. I just think that London, I mean, Zap did not look good in his first series. Maybe London will pick it up and look better this time. Maybe Zap will fit more into the lineup and they'll have more chemistry. I know they had short practice going into their last match. Maybe Zap will pick it up and maybe that'll get them a map, or at best 2. I don't really see a way that London wins this unless maybe Subliners, their first match was a fluke and their chemistry isn't there. But I doubt London wins this. I think maybe London could take control off them, or maybe the Surge. I doubt they take a hard point. I feel like if they're going to win one map, it'll be like they win the Search and then London loses every respawn or something. But I'm going to go Subliners 3-0. And then in the second match of Thursday, the final match, unfortunately I have 2 matches on Thursday and Friday like usual, but it's Faze Thieves, and this is an interesting one because, I mean, if this was a couple weeks ago, Thieves are really struggling, and Faze was the best team in the game. It's easy to pick them. But recently, LA Thieves has looked so good, and Faze has looked so weak, which leads me to really, really want to pick LA Thieves. LA Thieves is 2-0 in the group. I believe Atlanta, I'm sorry. I believe Atlanta is 0-1, because I think their only match last week was a loss to New York. Fairly confident on that. So they're 0-1. LA Thieves is 2-0, so this could be a huge win. I mean, if New York wins that first match and improves to 2-0, and Thieves win this, improve to 3-0, Optic's 2-0 in the group, Faze would fall to 0-2. They'd be in extreme danger to not be in the winner's bracket. Wouldn't that be insane? And I do think that there's a legitimate chance that Faze lose this match. I mean, I don't think it's a guarantee by any means that they are able to beat LA Thieves. I think LA Thieves are a very good team. I am going to give Faze the edge in this, though, 3-2. And the reason I'm going 3-2 is because I still think that it's not time to panic. Atlanta should have beat New York, although Thieves dominated New York in the Major 2 when we last saw them play. However, I do think that Faze is still probably the second best team in the game, maybe behind Ultra. And I think they're going to find a way to close this one out. I would not be surprised, though. I like to say the matches where I kind of think are a toss-up. I like to always mention that. And I do believe this is almost a toss-up match. I think LA Thieves is going to come out frying. I really think Kenny's going to be the difference maker in the series. You guys know how much I love Kenny. Maybe my favorite player in the CDL. Especially with Methods not currently technically a starter. Kenny's probably my favorite starter in the CDL. I just love watching him play. He's like my favorite player. I just love watching him. And I really think he's going to be able to come out and play that fast pace. And I think that with all four of the people on LA Thieves playing at a fast pace, they might be able to match the speed of Simp and Abezy. I think the difference maker in this series could be Simp and Abezy, though, because I do think TJ and Venom, while they are a good duo and probably a top 5, top 6 sub duo, Simp and Abezy are the best sub duo, so I think they'll edge them out in that category. But I am interested to see the AR battle in this one because Faze hasn't played LA Thieves since the new roster was formed, I believe. So I'm interested to see if the speed added with Draza and Kenny on the ARs kind of throws off Faze. It seems like it's been throwing off most teams they play. But I am going to go 3-2 Faze. Would not be surprised at all if LA Thieves takes this one. I really want to take them, but considering I took New York to beat Faze last week and eked that out barely, I feel like I kind of am testing my luck if I pick against Faze again. Then moving on to Friday, we got Toronto LAG. I mean, this would have been the easiest 3-0 pick ever before, but now I think it is a little more interesting. With LAG looking a little better, and I'm going to give them some respect, and I'm going to go 3-1 Toronto. I still certainly think Toronto's going to win this. Every time I've ever put faith in LAG, they lose every single time I ever pick them, so I've said a million times I'm done putting faith in them. Not that I would pick them over Toronto, because right now Toronto is the best team in the game, with the inconsistencies that FaZe has shown and the consistency that Ultra has shown from the Major to now their 2 matches last week, being able to just come out and win in a pretty handily fashion. I mean, they handled Empire 3-0 very easily last week, and they just looked very solid. I believe that them showing the consistency and beating down Empire, even if they had Fellow in the lineup, just shows me, and I believe they beat Florida on day 1 as well. That just shows me that, you know, they're a consistent team that's here to stay towards the top for at least the time being. Maybe even if they're not the number 1 team, they're probably a top 4, top 5 team for sure for the rest of the year. And I think LAG, while they may be improved, their pacing may be better, and they have a decent chance to be more competitive now, I don't think that all of a sudden makes them able to beat Toronto. So I do pick Toronto 3-1. Wouldn't be surprised if it's a 3-0. It would be a very long shot if LAG wins this. Then the final match on Friday is Rocker Legion. I mean, if Legion would have looked better last week, I would have been really excited for this match, but they just did not look good. Every time I put my faith in Legion, they seem to be failing me recently too. So I do think I'm going to go Minnesota in this one, and I think I'm going to go in a 3-1 fashion as well for this. Obviously, Minnesota is a top 5 team. We know this. We know they're a very good team. They did have a kind of a dud match versus Florida last week, so that's a little bit concerning. But I do think they'll be able to get this done. I mean, I do think there's an outside chance Paris could win it. They're 0-2 coming off last week. They know they need to win 2 matches, and honestly, it's probably their best chance to win 2 matches because I believe their match that they have left. I mean, let me look here at the results from last week. Paris played LAG and Dallas. That's what I thought. So they still have Ultra left. I'm pretty sure they still have Ultra left. Yeah. So I mean, if Paris wants any remote chance to finish in the top 3 in their group, they're definitely going to have to go 2-0 this week, and it's probably the 2 most likely teams that they can beat. I mean, I would say it's more likely that they beat Rocker and Mutineers than it is they beat Toronto. So Paris is going to have to get this win, so maybe they'll come out with some extra motivation and they'll have an outside chance to win. Maybe the honeymoon period will finally kick in for them. They showed potential last week in that map 1 versus Dallas. They dominated them, but then after that, they just looked horrible. They got smoked in the next 3 maps, and they got smoked versus LAG. Paris is on the downfall right now, so I've got to pick Minnesota. I'm giving them a map because I respect the players and respect the team. Very unlikely they win it, but the only way, like I said, I see them winning it is if they come out with the fire and know they need to win 2 maps to keep themselves alive for top 3 in their group for this stage. And then going into Saturday, we've got Atlanta FaZe versus the London Royal Ravens. This is an interesting match simply because if FaZe wins versus Thieves, it could be a very momentum-based match for them to, you know, kind of establish, hey, we're still here with, we're still like the best team in the game, kind of trying to fight Toronto for that. I certainly think FaZe is going to win, so I'll just put it up right away. I think it's going to be a 3-0 again. Between this 2 London matches. They probably don't get 3-0'd twice. I bet you they find a way to at least win one map in there somewhere. So that's probably both not going to happen. But I mean, the last time we saw Faze play London, it was like actually one of the biggest beatdowns we've seen on the year. I mean, that was the series where Dylan dropped like a 0.4 or like 0.3 or something. He literally couldn't do anything. I know he's not on the team anymore, but still, just the one move Zap Decent for Dylan doesn't all of a sudden make London able to beat or even come close to beating Faze. So I do think Faze wins this 3-0, and it could be a huge week for Faze. If they're able to take down Thieves and then just beat down London, it'll kind of like reestablish in their minds maybe some confidence that they're probably lacking now after losing a couple matches in a row to Toronto and then to New York. But I do certainly think this is a 3-0. Unfortunately for London, I mean, they lose 2 matches last week to LA Thieves and Optic. And now they get Subliners and Faze, who they're probably both going to lose to again. Then next week, that should mean that they have Surge. I guess they would have a remote chance to maybe take out the Surge, but it's not going to matter because there's literally no way that if London wins 2 matches this week, I don't know. Somebody should put a bet on that or something. I have to do something if London loses or wins 2 matches this week. But I think Faze is going to do it, and especially because I do think Faze could lose to Thieves in that first match. If they do, this is an absolute desperation match to give themselves a chance to still be top 3 in their group. So it's desperation time for them if they lose that first match, but they're going to win at 3-0. Then the second match on Saturday is Dallas Empire, LAG. This is another really interesting matchup to me because of the fact that Dallas is in a transition period and LAG seems to be very structured. I don't think Dallas is necessarily a bad team. With Fellow, I actually still think they have potential to be a top 3 team with Fellow because, I mean, Krim is still the GOAT, even though in the last video I did say he struggles in the main AR and stuff. He's still the GOAT. Fellow's still a really good player, and then Shotzi's last year's MVP. Illy's another still super young, talented player. So Dallas still has a potential to be a top 3 team and potentially make runs to win events. But they're in a transitional period right now. They seem to be trying to figure out their roles and what they want to do with the team. While at the same time, Guerrillas seem to really have their roles down despite being a new team. So I feel like this could be like a trap match for Dallas in a way. I still think they're going to win it, but I'm going to do something weird and I'm going to pick a 3-2 for Dallas. I know I always put faith in LAG. Even putting 2 maps for them against Dallas seems like it's putting too much faith. I'm not going to pick them to win because, I mean, if I can't pick them to beat some bad teams, there's no way I can pick them to beat Dallas. I still think Dallas is very good, like I said. But the reason I'm going 3-2 is I really think that the structure of LAG is going to hurt Dallas in a way, since Dallas is still a new team kind of trying to figure out the way they want to play the maps. So I think maybe this would be a series where like LAG would come out and win the first hardpoint, and then Dallas will come back, take the search. Probably Dallas will take the control, I would assume, go up 2-1, then maybe LAG will take another hardpoint. And then lose, or maybe they'll take the control, go up 2-1, and then lose or something. I don't think that they'll take 2 hard points. I'm assuming LAG will take a hard point and then either the control or the search, I guess. And then Dallas will take either 2 searches in the control or maybe hard point search control. I mean, I'm fairly confident Dallas will win this match, and they'll probably win it in a 3-1 or 3-0 fashion. But something about me just tells me that this is kind of a trap match, and they're going to be experimenting a little more than they should, trying to figure out the team where they probably think they have a free win. They'll do a little more experimental stuff, and LAG is going to come in at trying to win. So for that reason, I do think I'm going to go with Empire 3-2. Then the last match of the day, the Game Fuel marquee matchup, double points. But for me, it usually doesn't matter that there's double points because I always forget to save it. But it's Subliners Surge. Another matchup that I probably would have been a little bit more excited about had this been before Stage 3, because I just had so much faith for Surge coming in, and then they got absolutely shafted by the group they went in, but just by having the group be super strong. And they lost 2 matches last week, which was just brutal, getting reverse swept by Thieves and then losing to Optic, so they're now 0-2. Subliners look strong. So I do certainly think that I'm going to go with Subliners in this one. I think I'll pick it to be a 3-1. It's unfortunate because, like we said in the last video talking about the reactions for the Surge, pretty much their game 3 is a guaranteed loss. They're like 3-11 or 3-12 and something in Control. And I believe the teams they've beat in Control are like the other worst teams. I don't think they've like beat a good team in Control, basically. They just are abysmal at Control. I feel like New York probably will come out. If I had to predict this series, I think New York's going to win 3 respawns. I think New York will come out, win the first hardpoint, probably lose the second search. They'll certainly win the Control, and then they'll close out in a hardpoint. I think the only way that the Surge can win this series is if they do it in their typical fashion. If they come out and I don't know if they for sure have to win the map 2 search, and then they have to find a way to win a hard point in 1 or 4, and then they have to win the map 5 search. They're gonna have to win 2 searches and 1 hard point if they want to win it. That's the only way. I think there's an outside chance they do it. I certainly don't think this is like a lock matchup, like the Faze London one. I think is a lock. I don't think this is a lock at all. I think there's a potential that Surge wins this and really messes up this group, because if they win it, they'd put New York at 2-1. They'd be at 1-2. Who knows what Thieves could be 2-2 after this week. Optic could be 3-0. Faze could be 2-1. It'd be just a mess of a group going into that final week. But I think overall, I'm going to say that New York wins this. Surge has an outside chance to win it though. Then going into Sunday, we finally get to some matches that I'm very excited about. The first one, I mean, while it isn't a great match, I am excited to see it because it's 2 teams in transitional periods, and we get to see Temp and Paris in their 4th match together, and we still get to see Florida to see, this is their first match of the weekend, so we get to see if they can continue the strength we saw them show in their final match last week against Minnesota, and see if the whole Havoc experiment seems to be working out. Because at this point, I think Paris will probably be 0-3 after losing to Minnesota. So it'll be kind of time to hit panic mode. And if you heard my last hot take video, I really want Florida to pick up Vivid or Hook. I don't think Hook's very likely. I don't think Empire are going to give him up. But I do think that Vivid is a possibility. So I kind of hope Paris comes out and like blows out Florida while they're 3-0 or while they're 0-3. So that Florida feels like they need to make a change because they're only match of the week. Because I kind of want to see Vivid in the lineup and stuff. Obviously, I don't wish on Havoc to lose his job because why would I want to wish that on anyone? But I really want to see Vivid on this team because I really think that Vivid on this team could make them like extra special. Or obviously Hook. I would say Hook too, but I just don't think that's that realistic. But I want to see Vivid on this team, so I want to pick Paris, but I don't think that's the right play. I think it's going to be another 3-2. I think it's glitching out here. Yeah, 3-2 for Florida. I was going to go 3-1 because I do think that's a very realistic possibility. And Florida never plays 3-2 series this year. I saw like some stat on it, or Slack was talking about it on like the flank or something. Florida literally finds a way to either win 3-1, win 3-0, or lose 3-1 or 3-0. They literally never go to map 5s. But I think they're going to do it in this case. I think the difference maker in the series will be Havoc, and I think he's going to make a difference in Search, make them stronger. I'm going to say that Florida comes out and wins the hard point right away, and then Paris will probably take the Search off them in a close one, and then I think Paris is going to take the control as well. Florida will come out, win another hard point, and then probably the Havoc difference will make a difference in that map 5, and Florida will end up winning that one to win the series 3-2. It'd be a big series for Florida as well. Paris would obviously fall to 0-4 as long as they lose to Minnesota. They'd be certainly in losers bracket for the next major again, and in serious danger of missing the playoffs now if they're going to start in the bottom of losers again and lose right away. And then Florida, I mean, they'd improve to 2-1 and have an outside chance, but I believe they still have to play Empire, and I don't know, they play Toronto already. They play like Empire, and I don't even know who they play the next week. Maybe LAG? Yeah, I think they play Empire and LAG. So, I mean, if they could lose to Empire and then beat LAG, they could go 3-2. Florida has a realistic chance to make the winners bracket if they're able to close this one out. And I think they know that, so I'm going to pick them 3-2. Paris could win this, but once again, if they're 0-3, I feel like they might just be like, wow, this roster change didn't work, and kind of have like a bad mental state coming into the match. So I'm going to go with Florida to win this one. And then the next match, we're getting down to the 2. It's kind of unfortunate that it has to happen. I mean, in the last 2 matches of the week, I think there's the 2 I'm looking most forward to. Toronto, Minnesota is one I'm really looking forward to because I believe Toronto has established themselves as the best team in the game, at least currently, based on the trends of them and Faze. And Minnesota is a team that like people keep wanting to say is like the best team in the game, and then they lay duds. Like they should have lost to Optic in the major, and then all of a sudden they lose to Florida last week. It's like we want to keep saying that Minnesota's right up there with standing, and they're like one of the best teams in the game. And then they have like random dud matches, like very similar to what Optic does a lot of the time. We want to say like they're the best team in the game, and then they have dud matches. And for the fact that Toronto's been so dominant recently, they're going to lose eventually. It's just bound to happen. But I think there's a realistic chance, especially since Toronto already beat... Because last week, who did Toronto beat? I need to go back into that. Toronto beat Florida and Dallas, who are maybe the 2 best teams, along with Minnesota in their thing. So they're 2-0. They beat LAG. That put them at 3-0. If they beat Rocker here, that would put them at 4-0. And then I believe they'd only have to play Paris left. So there's a realistic chance Toronto goes 5-0 in their group, and I think they're going to do it. I think they're going to do it in a 3-2-1 fashion again. It's hard to only give Minnesota one map because they are such a good team, and I think this matchup is a very close one. But I'm going to go with Toronto 3-1. I'm really thinking about switching to 3-2 now, but I'm going to go 3-1 because Toronto's just been so dominant recently, and if it does go to a map 5, I think there's a decent chance that Minnesota could win it, although their search hasn't been great recently. I feel like this series is going to go Toronto wins the hardpoint because Minnesota has been struggling in hardpoint recently. I think Toronto wins the hardpoint and also wins the search to go up 2-0 because Minnesota's been struggling in that search recently. They've been having a lot of round 11s that either they luckily won or they've been losing. Their search just has not looked as consistent recently, but they have been a great control team. So I think Minnesota takes the control to go down 2-1, and then I think Toronto closes out that final hardpoint. I could also see the series going Toronto up 2-0, then Minnesota wins the control in the hardpoint, and then Toronto closes out 3-2. But I do think Toronto's really going to win this one because I have a lot of faith in this team now, and it's going to be a 3-1 is what I'm picking. And the final match, the double points for the Game Fuel marquee matchup, is Optic Chicago versus LA Thieves. And this is a super interesting one because, once again, Optic has had LA Thieves' number. They've pretty much dominated them since the get-go of this year. They played in that preseason kickoff classic thing, and Optic literally wiped the floor with Thieves. And then every time they've played since, I'm pretty sure Optic has handled them in 3-1 or 3-0 fashion pretty easily. I could be wrong on that, but I'm fairly certain that's the case, that Optic has handled them every single time. But on the other hand, Optic, while they've looked good recently, LA Thieves has also looked very improved recently and has a new roster that people still haven't seemed to figure out how to play against, it seems like, with how fast they play. But nonetheless, I'm going to go Optic in this one. But I do think it's going to be close. I can't decide 3-1 or 3-2, and I think I'm going to go 3-2 because I want it to be a 3-2. I want to see this match go far. It's very hard to consistently beat a team. I'm pretty sure Optic has beat Thieves at least 2, if not 3 or 4 times if you include the Kickoff Classic this year, and they've all been in 3-0 or 3-1 fashion. It's very hard to consistently keep beating a team, so I think it's going to get closer this time, but I do think it's going to be a 3-2. It's hard to pick Optic in a 3-2 with how shaky they've been in search this year, but as of late, they've been very good at search. The issue for Optic is I believe that they need to go up in the series 2-0, most likely, to have a very good chance to win it, because I'm fairly confident that LA Thieves are going to win the control. And the reason I say that is because I feel like Optic will probably ban like Raid or something, and then LA Thieves are going to ban Garrison, obviously, because they're so good at Checkmate, and then they'll probably play Checkmate because Optic is going to ego chow them on Checkmate because they feel they're a good Checkmate team. But LA Thieves is like undefeated on Checkmate. I think it might be for the whole year, but for sure with this roster, they're like undefeated in Checkmate or in Control in general. So I'm fairly confident that the map 3 is going to go the way of LA Thieves. So that's the issue, is Optic needs to find a way. Obviously, they need to find a way to win one of the first 2 maps, so they're going to get 3-0'd. I think they're going to find a way to win the first hardpoint, though, and go up 1-0. And the issue is, this is where I was trying to decide who to pick to win the 3-2, was if LA Thieves takes one of the first 2 maps, I believe there's a good chance they win the series because they're so good at control. If they win map 1 or 2, they're going to win map 3, go up 2-1. And then from there, Optic will have to win 2 straight maps, which I do think they can do, but I don't think that's the way the series is going to go. Because I'm picking 3-2, I'm going to have to say Optic wins the first 2 maps, then LA Thieves wins 3 and 4, and then Optic clutches up in a map 5. So I think Optic probably going to win hardpoint search in order to win this series is likely the case. Whether that's they win 2-4-5 or 1-2-5, I think that's going to be the case. It's scary because it's kind of like Surge. Optic is a better team in Search and Hardpoint than Surge, but they're very weak in Control recently, just like Seattle has been. So it's hard to pick them in the series against a team that's so good in Control because it feels like it's a guaranteed loss. But I'm going to go 3-2 simply because Optic has had their number all year. So I'm going to have to just stick with that trend because it's a tough one to predict. But this is certainly a toss-up match that could go either way. But the predictions are in. Just kind of going back over the matches. I'm intrigued to watch the first day of matches. I'd say like the matches I'm most intrigued to watch. I'm really excited for that Faze Thieves match in day 1. Friday is kind of for me because I want to see Gorillas play a lot, but I don't think it's going to be that close of a match. Then Rocker Legion probably won't be all that close. So that's kind of a day for the matches. Then Saturday, Faze Ravens, not too hyped for that one. I'm kind of excited for this Gorillas Empire match because I think it could be kind of a trap match that could end up being closer than a lot of people think. Subliners Surge, I'm always excited to watch Surge play, so I'm obviously hyped for that one. And then all of Sunday I'm really excited for, especially those last two matches. I think Minnesota-Toronto is going to be a bloodbath, and I think Optic LA Thieves could be a bloodbath as well. So overall, very excited for the matches this weekend. I hope you guys are as well. I believe that's going to do it for this prediction episode. I like to keep these ones a little shorter because there's not much else to talk about. Especially when we're doing the reaction video Monday or Tuesday, and then the next day or two the prediction comes out. We mostly cover stuff to talk about in that reaction video. So I like to keep these prediction videos a little shorter, a little sweeter. Please be sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe if you enjoyed, especially do the comment part of that sentence. Comment down below your predictions for this week. Do you think there's going to be some crazy upsets? I know we've got a lot of London fan listeners. Do you think London's going to be able to pull off one of these upsets? I mean, for your guys' sake, I certainly hope they do to blow up the group. I think it'd be fun if they're able to beat Faze or Subliners and kind of blow up this group for the standings. Hell, if they somehow find a way to go 2-0, I think that'd be so fun for the standings. It'd be just a toss-up, and then we'd have a crazy last week. But comment down below your thoughts on anything CDL you want to know or anything you want to mention. Obviously, if it wasn't covered in the prediction video, we can still talk about it in the comments or just offer your predictions for the week. But I believe that is going to do it for this one. This has been Ryan with the CDL Podcast channel. Hope you guys enjoyed watching, and I hope you guys enjoy watching the matches this week. I'll see you probably next Monday or Tuesday with the reactions to these matches. So thanks for watching, and have a great day, everyone.